So we're going to make some biscuits and gravy today. Preheating the oven to 350. Got the sausage going. At the same time, through the biscuits on the pan here. And as the sausage is cooking, when that gets the temperature, we're going to go ahead and throw these biscuits in. They'll be done when the biscuits and gravy is done. As we're cooking here, we really want to break this sausage up into little pieces. Because when we add our water or milk, it will make this swell off a lot, making the pieces bigger. So here we have it where we got a good brown. I like to use this brand here. So they have it peppered and then they have a sausage gravy mix. A lot of times I'll mix both of the packages. So you'll want to put this in there. I normally use 2 packages to a pound of meat. And you'll want to start kind of browning this. And what that does, that'll kind of bond this flour with the sausage, and the grease will soak into that flour and it'll help it be thicker, have a lot more flavor. Once we get it kind of like that, see how it's starting to turn colors there? This just calls for adding water. 3 cups to a package. Stir that a little bit. I forgot to have the fan going there. I don't know how much you hear me, but we put cooked sausage really well done. And then we threw the flour in, kind of browned it, or the gravy mix. And then we added the water. And then we've still got this like on a medium heat. And it'll start boiling. You have to cook it to where it thickens up, but you don't want to get it too thick because it'll get thicker as it cools off. And you'll actually, like when you'll feel it sticking to the bottom of the pan, you have to keep stirring it as it starts boiling. Now when you're waiting on this, you don't really want to turn the heat up. You just want to let it keep heating up. It's barely starting to boil. As it starts boiling more rapid, you want to stir it a lot more often. We got about 5 minutes on these biscuits. I'm gonna go ahead and pop them out here. I always like to take and flip my biscuits. See how the bottom's getting really well done. I'm burning. Always cooking about 2/3 of the way. Flip them over. And they don't get too hard and crunchy on the bottom. Both sides is cooked even. There we go. Put it back in. We still got 5 minutes to go. See our gravy's starting to boil. As I push this across here, I can feel how thick it is on the bottom. What I want is for that not to burn, so the flour will start sticking to the bottom. And you want to keep stirring it so it doesn't burn. What eventually will happen is the flour will separate kind of out from the water or milk, whichever way you're making it here. If you're making homemade gravy, you're using flour and milk, and let it start boiling a little bit again. See how rapid that's boiling. And I can normally make it come out where I preheat the oven, start cooking the sausage. I throw the biscuits on. By the time the oven's preheated, I throw them in, and it gives you 13 minutes or so for the biscuits to cook. And as the biscuits are cooling, they should be cooling off. takes some practice to get this right, because if you cook it too long after it cools off, it'll be pasty. Let's see how, when I move this, it's still pretty watery. I want it to kind of firm up a little bit. I'm moving this back and forth too. I'm not really pushing on the bottom, scraping at it. I'm just making sure the flour isn't sticking to the bottom of the pan. Now I can feel as I'm moving this back and forth, it's getting a little bit thicker. Turn it down some. So I had it turned on 5, which is about halfway on my stove. And that's the larger burner, the double burner. I turned it down to 3 just now. We have about a minute till the biscuits are done. I don't know if you can see, like, as I push, like, you can actually see the contents of the pan swaying back and forth. So if you look right over here, as I go across, see how that pushes that up so much because of how thick it's getting. I'll go ahead and shut this off. I'll go ahead and pull it off the burner even. Have to stir it a little bit so it doesn't burn to the bottom of the pan. That is pretty well done. There's the timer for the biscuits. Shut the oven off. There's the biscuits. See how they're done, almost the same. Finish flipping all these biscuits. That way the side on the pan doesn't continue to cook while it's sitting there. Go ahead and stir this. You can see how thick that is as it's cooling off. That right there is about what you want. It's still really hot. And if you cook the sausage, or like you can use hamburger turkey if you wanted to, really, or even I've seen people use bacon. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make it depending on what you have. You know, some people are allergic to stuff. Oh, that's got just a little bit left to cool. Hopefully the noise from the furnace isn't overpowering here. So here's our fresh biscuits. They're still hot. See how it's got like a gel on top after you let it sit and cool a little bit. So it's not super pasty. That's how you want it. Put that on there. Now this is still really hot, so it'll thicken up a little bit more than this. Like that. A lot of times I use that mix just for convenience. The kids can be running around and making noise, and all it takes is the sausage, the 2 packets of mix, 6 cups of water, and this is what you come out with. It's kind of hard to mess it up as long as you cook it until when it sets up all the way. And it's only about $10 for the sausage, 2 packets, and the biscuits, and you can feed a good sized family. It'll feed 5 or 6 people real easy.